Hey guys, RIOT Podcast here, and you knew that because you clicked on it. So
congratulations.
I guess you didn't need me to reinforce that for you.
But isn't it nice to just be validated that you made a great choice? Yeah, like you got what you were clicking on, what you were expecting.
Let's talk about the podcast. Today you're going to hear us talking about movie codes, and I bought one. I did.
Movie download codes.
Yeah, you'll hear me say like, well, I haven't bought one yet. Well, I want you to know that since then I have.
I was surprised based on when we talked. I thought, well, maybe I'll never hear about it again. And you're like, nope, bought something.
Well, I bought something because I was going to rent it. The rental was going to cost me about $4. The code cost me $4.
So you'll learn about maybe a new way to do things. Is it legal? It is, I guess. Maybe.
I'll tell you, I poked around, and to be clear, this actually isn't that cheap. The one I wanted, they just had a bunch of, so it must have been super cheap. But it looks like in general, if you know anything about buying movies, this is not really a cheap way to buy movies.
Depends on if you find a good deal. So you'll hear and learn about that.
So we got that. We talk about the sickness, which is real. Mayo Chup and cultural appropriation. It's a weird one. White Castle, the Christmas Channel, Necco wafers, King of Kong, presidents, Disney's,
and
mouses,
sneezes.
Oh, yes.
Sneeze happens.
There is a sneeze that does make it into the podcast, and you will literally hear the riot fall apart.
I just can't handle it.
The whole thing, pieces.
Sometimes I felt like during it, even I get disappointed sometimes when we lose
Couldn't we have done a little better?
A little better.
Couldn't we do a little better than this?
Even I was sad about that. So hopefully you enjoy our podcast today. Please don't forget for artist interviews, we talk with Ronnie from Red Jumpsuit Apparatus.
Oh, that's right. That's in here. You know what the problem is? I haven't actually added that yet. But yes, that will
Ronnie,
be in the podcast.
We catch up with him. If you want to check out more with that, please make sure you follow and subscribe to our RadioU Riot YouTube channel. That way you can get notified when our interviews go out there too.
Mm-hmm. So you guys have a fantastic day. Enjoy the podcast. Good weekend. What ifs? It's the Riot.
The Worst of the Riot box set is now available nowhere because we know you wouldn't want it anyway. It's the Worst of the Riot on RadioU.
Yesterday I became aware of something. Has that ever happened to you? You think or you don't know about anything, and then one day there's just this thing that happens. You're like, oh, this is like a whole thing.
It does. It kind of dawns on you.
Thing surrounding this. So here's what I found. Yesterday on the show, we did this story where we were talking about how Disney was suing Redbox to get them to stop reselling the digital codes that come in DVDs.
Because basically the DVDs or the Blu-rays that are in a Redbox, the company buys them. So it's not like they're given them as a distributor or anything. So they buy them, and when you buy a disc, the disc stays in the machines. But then, what are you going to do with the digital codes?
Right.
So they sell those,
them.
which they're not supposed to do.
And they sell them for $10, and I'm like, that's not a deal. It's not necessarily a ripoff, but it's not a deal.
Sure.
If I wait a week, I can buy the Blu-ray for that and get a Blu-ray and a code. So who cares? But there is this whole community. Can we call them a community? Is that fair? Group of people that they're our websites or whatever. Their whole thing is they just sell codes, download codes for movies online.
Movies, games. Mostly movies?
The games ones, here's what I feel like. With the game stuff, a lot of that is, not all of it, but some of that is based in piracy and all this stuff. These are basically just gatherings of people that are like, hey, I have an extra code for blank. What will you give me for it?
Sure.
And so it's not piracy, even though I believe it breaks the terms of service. I'm sure it probably does. But just that idea of here, you can buy this for $3 or this for $8 or whatever. And I didn't buy anything.
But
I didn't. But
is it a safe link where now in the future you might look towards there?
I'm tempted to try it because there was a movie where I was like, hey, I think I might rent that this weekend. And for the price of renting it,
you can buy the
download code. And I was like, well,
it makes sense because, we've gone through ways where, all right, we're cleaning out Blu-rays, we're cleaning out stuff, and you can go and sell them back to, Amazon, or you turn them in somewhere. And I remember when we started to do that the first couple of times, oh, hey, I have this digital code. I didn't even think I had this. you forget that part of it sometimes in the beginning. And that's when I started to notice when you would sell them back into places or sell them online, everyone was asking more, not about the disc, but they wanted to make sure the code
is in there.
Like, was the code intact with the actual disc still, or did you use that part of it?
I've done that for a few people where I'm like, I've got it on Blu-ray and DVD, and I'm like, yeah.
You can have the code?
If you want, no, not the code. I want the code. But like, if you want the DVD, you can have it.
Okay, you give away that part.
But like, I've got,
who needs it?
I have a few friends that have been like, I don't care about HD, whatever. Then they just
pop it in, yeah.
DVD, they don't care. So like, that would be like what I would loan to somebody or whatever. So I don't know. Like, but it's a whole thing. That's again that thing where you think you've seen the entire internet, and it's like, bro, you haven't even dipped your pinky toe in the water.
Do you even code? Do you know about
resell
the
codes? It's just one more layer of the onion that's been peeled back.
Anybody's trying to sell everything.
The Riot with Obadiah.
Them honey buns and Cheetos done caught up with me.
The Riot with Nikki.
Yeah, she's a liar, because I don't know her. So whatever she says is a lie, so...
The Riot, Radio U.
I don't know if this happens to anybody else, but I'm tired of taking antibiotics.
You're pointing your finger while you're saying that.
No, I'm not.
You're pointing your hand.
It was my whole hand.
That was all your fingers.
It was all the fingers, Nikki.
I feel like it must do something to our body, don't you think?
It makes me, and I know people are like, that's not real, but I looked it up. It is real. I have a lot of nausea while I take them. And so yesterday afternoon, I was driving home and I was like, oh, I don't feel good. Oh, I don't feel good. And I spent like hours just laying down like, oh, gosh.
From the antibiotics?
And, well, it's the only thing I can think that would do
like
that.
It builds up. So.
Yes, it gets worse over time. And so like yesterday afternoon, I was just laid out for a while. And you're like, well, why do you feel sick? I don't know. Are you dizzy? Like a little? Like, are you?
It could just be the tummy stuff.
Like, are you going to throw up? I don't know.
Aww.
Like, how do you? And I'm just laying there. It's like, dude, I couldn't. And it's that kind of nausea where, and this is the worst kind, can't watch anything. Because I feel like the light is like beaming through to my brain. It hurts my eyes. And I'm like, I can't.
Now, do you always feel that? Or do you feel like once it builds up to where you've had antibiotics for enough? Or because I know you're supposed to like
take the whole bottle.
Well, you're supposed to take the whole bottle, but you're also like eat with it, or don't have this sort of food, or maybe you have to have something on your stomach, a certain something.
I have been doing that. Like I've been eating with it. So like no, not taking it without that. But no, it's just that it happened to me all over the weekend. I would be fine, like because I had a couple days off, like playing Xbox, and then I'm like, oh gosh,
like,
I just have to lay down for a while. I don't feel good, and
it's not seasick; it's antibiotic sick.
It is a weird thing, but like I just want to get on record.
Mm-hmm.
We're recording this, right? I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, I thought you were done with antibiotics.
I'm not. I got to go through till tomorrow, and I'm taking the whole thing because listen. When you've had 400 sinus infections in 3 days, I'm finishing that antibiotic.
That's actually roughly his estimate.
I've had 5 in 6 months.
That's a lot.
It is probably the worst run of sinus infections I've ever had. Like, I don't know that I've ever had this many in such a short period of time. And I don't know what I've done that's been so lucky. Yesterday, Eric was like, are you just touching sick people and then picking your nose? He's like, are you just taking the bacteria straight up into your nose?
Actually, that'd be better because maybe you'd be like, it would keep you from getting it.
Right, I would get over it.
You'd be immune.
It's like, I have no idea. Even my doctor's like, we don't know.
Which is comforting, right? You go to them and you're like, I want a definite answer.
What's happening?
I want some facts and I want some action. And the action shouldn't just be, here, have this other antibiotic.
No, that's one of the things that I think is hilarious about like that point in your life where you realize that your doctor's just like guessing. Because I had something, this has been a while ago, where he's like, well, we'll try this. And if it doesn't work, we'll try something else. And I remember thinking like, wait a minute.
Why do we have to try it?
We're trying things now? Is that what we're doing? Because I could try things at home, I guess. We're just trying? Don't you know?
Now, the frustration that you're hearing from Obi is antibiotic-based.
It could be.
It does does drive you crazy.
It builds a little. I don't know.
Yesterday, I was upset about something, and then finally I was like, you know what? I don't feel good. I was like, and I think this is from the stupid sinus infection and the antibiotics as well.
Well, I got 3 pills left.
All right, you're almost done.
3 pills left.
Are you doing 1 a day or 2 a day?
It's 2 a day.
2 a day.
So I took 1 this morning with my toast.
You're done tomorrow.
And my Caribou coffee. And, tomorrow I'll be done. And so I figured maybe early next week I'll start to feel normal again, because I swear I still don't feel right.
Well, then you have to start the regimen of, like,
training for the RadioU 5K? Yes, I do.
Well, I meant more like bringing in the good bacteria and the good stuff back into your body.
I'm taking a probiotic with antibiotic.
Okay, then there's nothing.
There's nothing else I can do. I start eating yogurt, like they say on TV.
The worst of the riot. Proof that you're already living in that dark future dystopia. Radio U.
I don't know how seriously you take the phrase and the trend of cultural appropriation, but yesterday I spent a pretty intense time doing a deep dive on some cultural appropriation that's happening right now. There are some people in Iowa and Utah that are incredibly upset about what the Heinz company is doing.
Oh, I saw it.
And did you see this?
Well, everybody else tends to call it fry sauce, but there's a different term.
I've heard fry sauce and I've heard Utah sauce.
But it's also...
And I've also heard Iowa sauce.
But then Heinz is calling it...
mayo chip.
Mayo chip. So it's mayo and ketchup mixed together.
Mm-hmm. And so there are quite a few people from Middle America that are just like, this is cultural appropriation.
It's like, wait a minute.
What do you think?
It's been around for a while. But so I didn't catch, are they packaging mayo chip now in its own thing?
Yeah, it's going to be a thing. So it seems like it's not. They were doing a Twitter poll about it. Like, hey, what do you think about mayo chip? And they say if we get 500,000 upvotes, they're making it and they're shipping it. Well, they've got 87,000 now on their Twitter poll, and there are 2 days left, so they're going to be fine.
So they're going to try making it?
Yeah, and I mean...
Which they were going to
They were going to anyway.
They're going to put that on there, so it's fine. I mean, just to pull back the curtain a little bit for you.
How do you know they're going to do it? Well, I see that they've already designed the...
they've done all the work.
They've got a logo, they've got all the art, plus they've got the industrial design of the squeeze thing. Like, they're done. So it's not out yet, but it will be out. But a lot of people were...
Yeah. So for me,
happy.
Mayo chip, like the mayo ketchup, I hate mayo.
I do too.
Hate mayo.
Preach, come on.
Ketchup is fine, but I will tell you, normally, like if you get a Wendy's hamburger, that's the only place where if you don't say no mayo, they'll put mayo and ketchup together on it. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was like, well, this isn't bad. You know, you dip your fry in it, or it's much better to me. It is a really good fry sauce. But I tend to not get it anywhere else. And again, I hate mayo. So I don't quite understand why I'm okay with mayo and ketchup.
Or mayo chip.
Mayo chip.
Or Iowa sauce. Or Utah sauce.
Fry sauce, yes. So I think it's fine.
Man, I'm telling you, I've said it once today. I'm saying it again. You're pulling back the onion, and it stinks. Man,
I do remember to always say no onion, though.
I can't even be. I'm not interested. Keep your mayo. Like, but it's good.
So you don't like mayo and ketchup?
No.
Aw, well, you're a honey mustard man.
Yes, I am, Nikki. Now, if you want to talk about two flavors that belong together, that probably in heaven were one flavor, and then through the terrible fallen nature of the world, it became separated.
Yeah.
Because who in their right mind would eat mustard without honey in it? It's absurd.
Easy there, you're going to cough.
I'm telling you, it upsets me that much. That's how little I care for mustard. But when the honey mustard is brought back together as God intended...
Something special happens.
I was dipping chicken fingers in it yesterday.
Oh, were you?
Yes, I want to say thanks to the Durek who came by. He and I went for chicken fingers and honey mustard.
Oh, what a lunch you had.
Oh, honey mustard. My friend.
Ever wonder what Nikki is doing when she isn't rioting? Find her Twitter feed at riot.radiou.com. Obadiah's is there too, but who cares what he's doing?
So we've been digging for the...
Friday the 13th music.
Yeah, it really has that glass breaking. Yeah, it's real. It's the worst.
Do you feel it? The movement of it.
The funny thing
That's
is,
not the music I was thinking of.
I know. Nikki was thinking, oh, there it is. That? Like,
No, I was singing the this.
This is Halloween.
It fits better than Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
It's all scary.
Okay, do we?
That's not even the one. The that. Yes. Okay, that
It's
part.
all, Nikki, it's all part of one large movement.
Sweeping movement, some score.
It's all part of a 10-hour loop of this on YouTube.
What is someone putting that on at night to sleep?
I mean, you're copy-pasting.
So I guess the longer the video is, sometimes you get more. Are you sneezing?
Man, I'm allergic to pumpkins.
See the panic. The panic in your body was like, get to the tissue. Get to the tissue.
Could you ask the question? I'm not done. I've got more to do.
I can't. Oh, my stomach. It's like our A game all the time. We're so sick and stupid. It's so stupid.
Whatever. We are the best at this.
I just can't help it.
What are you talking about? Okay, look. Okay.
I can't even.
Dan
is on the phone.
Okay,
Dan
and the
is
question
on the phone.
was, in the Friday the 13th films,
Yes. What is the name?
What was the name of Jason's home base, the camp?
The campground with it. Dan has got your answer.
All right, Dan, what do you got?
Good morning.
Good morning. That was Camp Crystal Lake.
That's
Yeah,
it.
woo!
Very good.
Woo!
You enjoy your ride here. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye. Yeah, we got it back together.
Oh, we're good.
I feel good, man. What are you talking about?
Do you guys mind?
What? What's the matter? What?
Do you guys as listeners mind how we are? Is that a remix?
It's a remix. That's the other thing. Like on YouTube, like if you want to. This is the Friday the 13th theme, it says.
It's the remix of it. What is that? I don't think it is. All right, well, just a reminder, it's Friday the 13th.
Yeah, so did you know that according to the Stress Management Center and Phobia Institute in Asheville, North Carolina, that an estimated 17 to 21 million people in the United States are affected by a fear of Friday the 13th?
Really?
That's what it says.
Okay.
It's been estimated to $800 to $900 million is lost in business on this day every year because of people who change their routines.
Because they're nervous?
Refusing to fly, refusing to do business, refusing to close business deals, et cetera, et cetera. They won't do it on this day.
On the Friday, yeah.
Because they say it's bad
luck.
I also see that in Italian culture, Friday the 13th is nothing. But Friday the 17th.
Well, now that's pure evil.
I'm not even making that up.
It's worse.
Yeah. So Friday the 17th, be on the lookout for that one, too.
Leftovers from the most disgusting meal you've ever had. It's the worst of the riot on Radio U.
Nikki, I think I may have zeroed in on what our next taste test is probably going to have to be.
Now, wait, what was Hudson saying yesterday about something?
I know Hudson's got something too, but I don't know.
His was a donut thing?
His was like some donut stuff from Krispy Kreme, and obviously we need those. But did you see what White Castle introduced yesterday?
What was it?
The Impossible Slider. You're like, bro, every White Castle slider is an impossible slider.
We like their breakfast, but I don't understand the other stuff.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. It is a plant-based burger. Like
they've
slider.
had one before.
But this one bleeds.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I've seen those.
Mm-hmm. So
is this the official one? Because I didn't think they would get that's an awfully...
Well, it's not. It's plant-based, and it's not the stuff that they grow in the lab.
No, there's an Impossible Burger that a lot of other famous burger places use as
okay.
So like this company...
So that's a branded...
It's kind of like a branded plant-based burger. It looks like it bleeds. So
right.
it's really popular for a lot of different places. So I didn't know if it was that official company or if they have their own version of it.
You know what? It must be. Like, it looks like the same branding when you look at their stuff. So, man, I need to try that out.
I think it sounds good.
What if it's really good?
I don't think there's a problem. I know you're like, eat meat, but every so often it's nice to have something else.
Man, straight up, like, I'm not so married to cow flesh that if you told me that you had created a burger and that burger tastes exactly like meat, and like, I'm in.
Now, if you're like, oh, you're vegan, you'll have to take the cheese off because the burger will be topped with smoked cheddar cheese, pickles, onions, and served on a signature bun.
Well, I don't want any of that except for the cheddar cheese.
You don't want any of that stuff.
I don't want any of that.
So this will be available at 140 White Castle restaurants in 3 states only: New York, New Jersey, and Chicago, the Chicagoland area.
So there we have it. Wait. It's only going to be available in 3 locations? My story doesn't say that.
That's the only ones.
Are you sure? And you're looking at the White Castle one?
I'm reading it from the White Castle site, the Impossible Slider.
Wait, what are the locations again?
140 White Castle restaurants in 3 states. The states are New York, New Jersey, and what they call the Chicagoland area.
Man, that's bullcorn because White Castle is based in Columbus, Ohio.
So why aren't you getting it? You'll have to take it up with them. I don't know. It's not my thing. They have cheese curds? That's so good.
Yeah.
We like cheese curds.
I like cheese.
That's an ad below it.
Man, that really bums me out. So that means we can't get it.
Well,
unless we travel.
We talked about we have something in Chicago in a couple of weeks.
We have talked about a trip to Chicago. And if you had told me that I was going to Chicago to eat White Castle, I would have smacked you in your face.
I would have never believed you. Well, if you're in those areas, try one if you're interested and let us know what you think.
Yeah.
But it's the Impossible Slider, so it's plant-based.
Oh, I want that, Nikki.
They had that Dr. Predigers or Predigy or something. It's like a brand of plant-based meat, and they used to carry those. So I don't know if this might replace that. That was not so good.
Really? See, I would try this though. I mean, I'm
that
probably
was more
making
like, here, let's have a spinach patty or something. It wasn't like trying to be a mock meat.
I'm probably being more dramatic than I need to be because at the end of the day, like,
you wouldn't have gone.
No. I think I would have.
Yeah.
Like, if you're telling me, like, the photos at least seem pretty convincing, but I wonder if I remove all of the accoutrement, that,
the sides,
and it's like, and I just go straight to the meat.
Yeah.
What does that taste like?
Plus, I also want to know is if I was serious about this and I did not want meat and I was a vegetarian or a vegan, is it vegan or is it just vegetarian? And then are they cooking it on the same grill with all the other meat and mostly the onion thing that I don't like from White Castle?
I do hate the taste of those onions.
Are they going to have a separate little side one?
Can't answer that, Nikki, because they don't have that at our White Castle. Which, again, who can imagine a world where I care?
You eat breakfast from there, but that's it. And they have a freestyle, which we appreciate.
Yeah, and I love those waffle sausage sandwiches they got, man. Dang.
Having a bad day? Blame the riot. Everyone else does. And in fairness, it's probably their fault. Radio U.
So about 15, 20 minutes ago, I was talking about, people being honest because we have a hard time with it where you're like, listen, I'm not saying I don't like coming to your house, but I'm not coming to your house because I hate it there. But it's not because I hate it there. It's just that I hate it.
And really, you should just say, I don't want to come to your house. I don't like it there.
We always put this disclaimer on stuff when I always feel like if I listen to someone's disclaimer, they're giving me the real reason, and then they're going to give me the fake reason. And I think we have a hard time. As you can see, I've been processing this all morning, and I'm still in process on the processing.
You're still chewing about it?
I think that we have a hard time being honest. I think we especially have a hard time being honest with ourselves, and I think that leads to us having a hard time being honest with other people. And I think a lot of times, at least personally, that's one of the things that in having a relationship with God, God is trying to get us to be honest, especially with ourselves. I mean, how many times you're like, look, it's not that I'm addicted, I just can't stop, so it's fine. I mean,
now, if you unpack that, the first statement there was, maybe you are.
Think about it for a minute. You just don't want to face up to it.
Admit to yourself.
It's like, it's not that I hate that person. I just can't stand everything they do, and I refuse to forgive them. But I don't hate them, all right?
Actually, that might be your best example that it resonates with most people.
I mean, right?
But I've forgiven them.
I forgive you. It's fine. Just don't talk to me. But I mean, but you get it. And I I think we do that. And, it's funny when I spend time with God, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes God is just like, hey, bro, flag. We just got to talk. Like, this is the thing. Let's be honest with ourselves and honest with me and whatever. And here's the thing I love about God is that God wants us to be honest with him and honest with ourselves. And you know what? Just as a side note, the beautiful thing about that is you don't have to lie to God. I feel like I hear people pray out loud all the time and they're so not telling the truth. Like, God, thank you for today. Thank you that I could be here. And really they're like, I wish I was at home. I hate it here. Whatever. You don't always have to be honest about everything all the time, but you get what I mean. But man, when you're alone by yourself and it's just you and God talking, it's a great time to be honest. You could actually say, God, I actually hate that guy. I just hate him. And you know what? When you do that, that actually gives God some room to work where he says, all right, you hate that guy. Let's work on that a little bit. Let's see if we can get some of that tension out of your shoulders or whatever between you and God. You can be honest because God loves you just the way you are and loves you enough not to just leave you stuck where you are. If you don't have a relationship with Jesus, you are missing out on at least one place in your life where you can be 100% yourself, completely honest. Just say, Jesus, I want that. I want you to come into my life. I want you to fill me with your spirit. And I want to be honest. I don't even know if I know how to be honest, but help me to do that with you. And man, talk to God about whatever. And you don't have to pretend. You can be real in what you've got to say.
The worst of the riot has no expiration date. It's born spoiled. It's the Riot on Radio U.
Nikki, you know that 1 in 10 Americans, according to this survey from Tech Pinions, have deleted their Facebook accounts
based
after
off the stuff?
Cambridge Analytica scandal.
Not surprised. I've seen a few friends do that.
I've seen a few friends do that too, and I don't want to be too cynical about this, but can we be real for just a second? Deleting your Facebook account does not undo the damage.
Sure.
In my mind, and maybe this is the wrong way for me to think about it, but in my mind, I'm like, look, it's done. All of that data they have, I'm closing my account. They have either A, already sold it, or B, they have it. They're not deleting it. It's basically, and I mean, Facebook came out and said this, look, you delete your account, it's no longer publicly available, but they keep all the data.
Well, for the data, I mean, also, you signed up for particular apps that was the problem that were a part of sharing your data because you probably signed in with Facebook for that particular thing.
Yes.
Who knows? Your stuff would have been going anyways from that initial company. So it really depends. I think our data is being leaked from everywhere we sign up for, which is why you just need to be smart about where you're signing up and what you're doing. But that's more of a statement. You're trying to make a statement with Facebook.
I get it. I mean,
I feel like there's a trail there, though. Like, I'm not deleting Instagram, but yet, so like, where you keep going to go with this?
It's funny you mentioned that because one of my friends who made this big display about quitting Facebook is still on Instagram, and that was like what I thought. I was
it's like, hold up.
Just a heads up that Instagram is Facebook. Like, yes, the apps are separate, but so what? It's the same.
Yeah.
Like, you're still
so I don't want to
giving your data to Facebook.
As much as like, I want to make a statement, I'll delete Facebook. I don't want to get up on that horse because I'm not doing that with Instagram.
Yeah. So. I completely agree.
I'm not okay
with
that.
Completely agree. I don't know. The other thing the thing that I keep thinking about is there is enormous bluster over Facebook and the huge, enormous, shockingly just crazy big elephant in the room is Google. And I don't hear anybody talking about Google.
Google's just being quiet.
And the amount,
they're still listening, but
the amount of data that Google has collected on you
and that you allow
is so far past what Facebook has accumulated on you. It is shocking. Especially if you own an Android phone, the amount of data that Google has on you, you can't fathom it.
It can literally tell you where you've been your entire life of having that Android phone.
Google could tell you where you were on April 13th, 2010. Like that's the kind of data that Google has on you. They know everywhere you've gone. They have pinged your phone over and over and over again. And if you're like me, and this is where it gets really scary, all of my text messages go through Google. All of my web interactions go through Google because I use Chrome, and on and on and on and on. They have everything. My entire digital footprint
is
on
there.
It.
Yeah.
They absolutely have it. Like that, no one's talking. I mean, I've heard like a couple of people are like, well, Google, but everybody's like, we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, but everybody wants to pile on Facebook now. So that now as Facebook is the current target for it.
Well, and I'm not going to say that Facebook is not worth, doesn't deserve some of the, because I mean, they really did break a public trust. They did
broke it because in the beginning they were so vocal about never doing that to us, whereas Google, I don't think they've ever said that.
Here's the other thing that I think. A lot of people don't like Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, sure.
And I'll tell you why they don't like him. They don't like him because he started his billion-dollar company when he was like 19, and he's a self-made. He's not a millionaire. He's a billionaire, and people don't like that. People do not like people succeeding.
Well, especially when that billion came from, your stuff.
It was built on the backs of your data, but he did it first,
sure.
And people don't like that. And I totally get it. And again, I'm not defending him. I just think I'm reading the room a little bit, I guess. But just remember, when you're out there complaining about Facebook, you're doing it on a Google product.
You're listening to the worst of the riot.
Today sucks.
Radio U.
Oh, Nikki, you know what? I don't know if you noticed, but it's almost time.
For what?
For Christmas.
I think we're wrong.
All right, look, we only have...
I think we're really wrong.
No, look. We've got Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, my birthday, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Thanksgiving, and then Christmas. So, we're practically there.
You're right.
It's right around the corner.
Now that it's finally warming up for a lot of the country,
we can finally start to
think about the time to then cool down.
We'll be recording the Christmas channel before you know it.
Are we doing a Christmas in July, maybe? We'll have to think about that.
We will, because, this is not what we wanted to talk about, but you guys know the deal that the first time we did it, everybody was all like, it's too much work. We're not doing this again.
And you could have sworn no one wanted us in-house
to do it again. It was the worst thing. It's so stupid.
But you guys
loved
it
so
much. And so the following year we weren't going to do it because we thought, that's what everybody was like.
And then when we were like, oh yeah, we're not doing that, everybody in-house was like, why aren't we doing it? Why don't, that was so amazing last year, why aren't we doing it? And it's like, I'm going to start carrying around a voice recorder. I'm going to have it tied around my neck, and I'm going to play back conversations from last year, this year.
Well, why are we talking about Christmas though? We're not anywhere near it.
What?
And I hate to tell that. I hate to break that news to you.
Here's the thing that kills me is that between the two of us,
I'm more Christmas.
If there is one of us that comes in and is like, well, 4th of July's over. It's almost time for Christmas.
I do that jokingly, and I'm a realist when it comes to do it now.
Do you do it jokingly?
No, it's how I cope with certain things.
I don't think, well... I will tell you, I've had a couple of dark moments where you're like, hey, it's cool. I'll just get off this Christmas music and I'll be fine. If you hear, if it's July and you hear Charlie Brown Christmas music coming from my office,
it's a tough day.
Don't come in. Don't. It sounds inviting. It's a warning sign, guys. It's a red flag.
Yeah.
Get away. So we're talking about this because one of your favorite Christmas movies, A Christmas Story.
Yeah. It's not my favorite.
I said one of.
Don't like it. So wait, what's your story though?
You know what?
What about A Christmas Story? Ronnie's going to be waiting in a minute.
All you've done, you just keep telling me how wrong I am. You're wrong.
That's what I'm here for.
You're wrong.
It's literally in my job description.
You're wrong. The house in Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, that is from the movie. It's famous up there. Last Christmas, I was in Cleveland for the weekend, and lo and behold, they were having the Christmas Story Marathon in downtown Cleveland. That city is Christmas Story.
They embrace it.
Well, the Christmas Story Museum, where you can actually spend the night at that house if you want to, they have just acquired the next door neighbor's house, which is, they call the Bumpus House. And the Bumpus House...
Sounds like Krampus.
Well, that's Krampus. No, that's in the movie, the next door neighbors with the dogs that are so loud and annoying and all that stuff. That's the house that's next door to the Christmas Story house.
Well,
so they just purchased it.
Good on that owner who was tired of living next to the stupid Christmas house, who got tired of it and couldn't probably find anybody else to buy his house, for selling it to the museum and getting money for it.
And so they said that, oh, yeah. You know what? Now you're going to be able to spend the night in the Bumpus house.
More rooms.
So it's more rooms where you can stay and relive your Christmas Story dreams.
So there's room at the inn.
There is room at the inn for you. I don't know that I'm interested. I've driven past it. I'll just say this. The neighborhood doesn't look like you think it looks like. Not like it did in the movie. Like, time has moved on a bit. But there is a museum and a store that's open on certain days of the week.
But you got to pay to get in.
Want to know what the Riot is doing right now? Follow them on Instagram and Twitter at riot.radiou.com. It's the worst of the Riot on RadioU.
You go get some candy. What candy are you picking up? A Nico wafer. Everybody loves those. They're the best. The worst. That is the most cardboard candy. Like, who wants one?
Who wants it? But
have
it's
you,
there.
Okay, have you seen the stories about this?
Is the plant closing or something?
Okay, because all of us have finally woken up to the fact that we don't want Nico wafers, now 395 workers could end up laid off at the end of March. Wait, at the end of March. No, set in March. By the end of May, if they can't find someone to buy the company.
Oh, so it's that bad.
Company's not profitable enough, so they're going to shut it down. Now, according to this article...
Do they own themselves, or does some other candy company own them?
I believe they own themselves.
That's why. They need someone to buy them.
Those candies, they started making that candy in 1847. And remember, back
Perhaps
then...
it's a bit of an oldie candy.
Back then, they only ate dirt.
Yeah.
So when someone gave you something that had the slightest hint of sugar, you were like, this is so sweet, I can't stand it.
And you just didn't live as long. Like, this was all you had. It just made you happy.
Meanwhile, in the modern-day United States, we put sugar in our water so that we don't... Oh, it's like plain water.
You couldn't actually get a wafer to be that interesting.
Yeah, no one's game for that.
But it's Nico wafers, or I said Necco. I'm not sure.
Here we go. Here's another one, everybody.
Yesterday, we had some trouble with a few words. We weren't sure. Potato.
Was it can or can?
It's con. No, can. Can. It is can.
Mm-hmm.
Donor.
Dooner?
Just add it to the list.
Nope. Come on. Here we go. Let's get the YouTube out. Let's see if we can get it pronounced right. I was just going to let it go. I actually, before the break, I was like, man, I think it's Nico.
I think it's Necco.
But am I getting it right? Here we go. Let's see. Oh, great.
Anybody know?
It's buried in a bunch of other... Just forget it. Whatever. You know what? The company's not going to be around much longer, so we don't even...
Who cares?
No, okay. The whole reason we're talking about this, though, is that according to this article... They're saying that people all over the United States are freaking out and going out and buying these in quantity. Like,
yeah, the people that are older.
Well, they're not 170 years old.
Who knows? Middle America? Who knows how old you can live?
We're back on the Highlander again.
That's right.
Living secretly many lives, moving silently down through the centuries.
Do you know what magic has been keeping them alive for 170 years?
They're waiting for the time of the gathering?
No, the little wafers.
It's the wafers. We should start eating them.
No one else eats them, and we die young.
It would preserve us. We could be hundreds of years old and still looking not a day over 19. And my secret, smoking, drinking, and is it Nico or
Necco wafers? I think it's that.
All right, whatever. So, you know what? Here's a problem in life in general. If you do a lot of reading and then it's time to pronounce things out loud, I've been mispronouncing words my whole life. Because I keep reading things and never having to say them out loud. And then I come in here and it's like, how do you say that?
It's like, how do you do it?
Whatever. So those wafers that nobody eats.
Hey, it's the acronym for the New England Confectionery Company. Did you say that?
No.
I never knew that.
I didn't know that either.
Interesting.
And to be clear, it's not contained in this article.
No, it's not. All right. It's so old-timey. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess... do you love anything that you'd be so desperate that you'd run out and buy it in bulk if it was discontinued?
Well, if you're talking like candy, like if Snickers suddenly went downhill, right. I mean, I really would miss it.
No. But do you love it so much that you'd be like, I have to get out there. I have to get my hands on as much of it as I can?
No, not really.
I'm pulling 1,000 out of savings, 1,200 out of savings. How much money do I have in savings?
No.
Forget savings. Get the credit card.
It's like we just need it now. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Here, I'm trying to figure out how to pronounce it. Wait.
Necco wafers.
Necco.
Oh, Necco.
Necco wafers.
Is that a person or a computer, though?
Just listen. It's just when you try to pull it up. Necco wafers.
This is just about you being right, isn't it?
Kinda.
That's what it's about. It's like, I'm right. That's what it's about.
I spent that time looking. It's like it's
Just so
got to
you
be
can
here
prove
somewhere.
yourself right.
No, I want us to sound correct, and it's Necco wafers.
You know what? I'm going to have to journal about this later.
I got a couple. You want some?
If you were offended or disgusted by anything Obadiah said this morning,
If you weren't so dumb, I might be offended.
you must be new. You'll get used to it. The Riot on Radio U.
Now, Nikki, if I say the name Billy Mitchell, do you know who that is?
Billy Mitchell. No, I do not.
Does the name sound even remotely familiar?
Billy,
No,
kind
it's
of,
fine.
but the
It's
Mitchell
fine.
part, like, I don't know.
I don't think most people probably know who he is, though his story is fascinating. He is the guy who was the focus of a documentary that came out a few years ago called King of Kong, and he is the world record holder in all the Donkey Kong games.
I do not know him then.
All right. Well, like every once in a while, he'll kind of pop up in the media, and granted, probably nerdier media than you're used to, but and he's just he always makes a splash, and he does all these things, and he'll do appearances, and again, he holds all of these records for beating Donkey Kong. I guess he said some of them in the 80s, came back and did more in the 90s. I haven't looked at him super hard. I just know that when someone says that, they call him King of Kong.
So that's this person.
At least
They used to. It looks like, based on some news articles, someone's not king anymore.
This is a highly nerdy but still fascinating tale. So this guy, according to this company called Twin Galaxies, and Twin Galaxies is just like this independent group of people that they keep track of arcade game high scores, and they're considered to be the authority on high scores. Well, this guy, Billy Mitchell, has been the King of Kong forever. He's been known as that, and he has 3 high scores in King Kong over 1 million points. Mm-hmm. One of the things that you have to do in order to show, like, hey, I got these scores, is that you've got some of these exist on videotape. That's how old they are. But, like, you have to have video of these, and a lot of times they are a separate camera pointed at the device because anybody can go in and, like, screw around with a digital video. So a lot of times they will do some kind of a separate recording of a screen to show what's happened. And that's where the problem is. And this blows my mind. Apparently this guy's been kind of controversial for a while, but there is somebody on the internet in this like Reddit forum that started looking hard at the videos of Billy Mitchell's high scoring runs. And here's what they figured out. They started analyzing them a frame at a time.
Yeah.
And in these old video games, and you see this in new ones too, where there's kind of pop in, like certain images load a little bit faster than other ones do. Well, it shows that because of the way the screens load in each frame, that they can determine that things are loading in the wrong order, which means that the game that he was playing on has been tampered with.
It was a Jeremy Young who filed the dispute in February. And basically for arcade scores, as you mentioned, Twin Galaxies, they work with Guinness Book of World Records. So they kind of help them. But they said that ruling, the King of Kong would go if he had over 1 million on an arcade machine.
Right.
But he was playing on an emulator.
Right.
They believe.
The big thing was he's always said it was an arcade machine.
But it was not.
And so it was either A, on an emulator, or B, on an arcade machine that had been tampered with.
Yeah.
So, like, there might be video of him standing in an arcade machine playing, but they have proved that, no, someone messed with that arcade machine. So, of course, then the question is, like, well, did he know? Did he know that someone messed with it? Well, who knows? Like, there's a lot of that kind of stuff going around these days.
They're basically calling him a bad guy now when, like, for the documentary, for the King of Kong documentary that you're mentioning, like, I mean, he's seen as a good guy.
Oh, yeah.
So it seems like what's going on with him.
So his scores have been taken from him. How do you deal with that? You've become, like, at least in a certain community, you're a very public figure.
And this is what he's been making his money off of.
Yeah, and I think he owns a barbecue sauce company or something like that. But that's like one of his things, and now he's no longer that guy.
But, like with news stories, sometimes you only hear about the first and never the follow-up.
Right.
So you got to ask yourself, like, would a lot of the industry catch on that he's no longer the King of Kong, or are they still bringing him in, not knowing, hey, he got these taken away from him?
That's a good question, and I don't know the answer.
You know, like if he's going to the barbecue shack on the weekend for his little signage thing or something, like to play King Kong.
Here's my question. Like, at what point, like, let's say he did it, that he faked it on purpose. At what point do you get to in your life where you're like, oh, yeah, I lied about my video game scores?
That seems to happen from a lot of people who hold records from back in the day.
Like, what? Like, I don't know. I guess people are taking steroids for professional sports, so whatever.
Everybody lies.
Everybody's doing it.
Everybody is.
We thought about selling the worst of the riot, but let's be honest, no one is buying this stuff. Get it for free on the RadioU app.
Now, Nikki and I were just talking about A Quiet Place and how excited everybody was about that movie because it's not based on a comic book. Because let's be honest, almost every other movie that's successful in the whole world
is based off of that.
It doesn't just come from a comic book. It comes from one company, Disney.
It does.
Every movie. And so you're like, well, Black Panther did over $1 billion, but look at Avengers Infinity War. It's about to do $2 billion.
But they're all from Disney.
And then, on and on and on and on. Billion, whatever. Okay. So then here comes another Star Wars movie. 1,200 billion. Now, in the middle of all of this, there's a story that came out yesterday about how the guy, Bob Iger?
Yeah.
Or is it Iger?
Okay, now we're just...
Bob.
We're just upset.
Let's
Bob
just call him
Disney.
Bob from Disney.
Yes, the
Bob
guy.
Disney.
Yeah.
Bob has, at one point, was considering a presidential run in 2020.
Oh, really?
Now, think about that for a minute. Disney is like, well, we bought Marvel, and we have all the princesses, and we bought Star Wars
They'll
and
have
Indiana
their
Jones.
own huge streaming service themselves coming up.
What do you guys feel about acquiring a country? Why don't we get the United States? You guys want to get the United States?
It sounds good.
Sure, let's get the United States. We'll have that then. So, Bob, just go get it for us, and then we'll have everything. And, man, can't you just see a picture of Mickey Mouse shaking his hand in the White House? And then it's all about how the real power is in the mouse.
Is in there. As long as he could shake off all that. Obviously, he seems pretty competent if he's been running it so well. But
he did an interview. He said that his wife hated it.
The idea?
Did not want him to do it, but she said, okay, all right, fine. Like, if you really want to do this, okay, whatever. And he said that he was seriously considering it to the point that they were even kind of studying it a little bit until Disney bought 21st Century Fox.
Why did that end that then?
I don't understand why. He just said that when that happened in December, it made it impossible. So,
do they own the White House?
That must be what it was.
It's like, well, go and look back. Let's look what all the White House movies, the disaster ones. Like White House Down or something?
Independence Day?
Yeah, where'd that come
kind of
from?
far back. That's a 20th Century Fox movie.
Maybe they own the rights to everything White House.
White House Down. That's a good question. Who made that movie?
The one with the one guy. There was two of them,
wasn't it?
There was. No. Was there a Channing Tatum one, and then?
Yeah, White House Down was the really bad one.
But then there was a second one
that was better than it should have been.
Yes.
What's that? Was the Falling? Something, because there was London is Falling, but then there was one, Olympus is Falling.
Yes.
That movie is way better than it should be.
Yeah.
And we're so off topic right now.
Yeah, but who did that? What studio did that one?
I don't know.
If you tell me it was them,
let's see.
Then maybe we've undercovered something.
Is Falling. Let me find out for you. Nikki, I don't know. It doesn't. I don't know who, what company owns that one. I know they made a sequel that nobody liked.
It's okay. A lot of movies have that.
Does that help?
That does. Thanks so much.
Not necessarily.
All right. Well, that's interesting. I would just love to know the details on why did that end that.
You know what? I don't know. It may have just been that it was, okay, Nikki, I've got Millennium Films distributed by Film District, so not 20th Century Fox.
But who owns Film District?
I don't know. Disney,
just follow
probably.
it.
But no, I think it comes down to like maybe the workload. Like maybe it was so much work to get ready for that he was like, I don't have time to get ready for this anymore. I don't know. But I know that Mickey Mouse will be staying out of the White House for at least another 4 years.
At least for now.
But there's always 2024.
I know. You hate the Riot. Why are they on the radio?
Stupid. Yeah.
Honestly, we can't trust them with anything else. It's the Riot on Radio U.
You know, Nikki, we keep saying this because we talked to Remedy Drive, and I said, it's been a while.
Yeah.
And now we're on the phone with Ronnie from Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, and it's been a while
again.
Yeah.
So it's a common theme, but we're so happy to catch up with everybody.
Hello, Ronnie.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Hey, what's up? It has been a while. Good Stained song as well.
Yeah. So, hey, Ronnie, here's the thing I'm wanting to know is...
Before you get into that, let me just let everybody know.
I want to talk now.
Ronnie from the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. Today on Radio U is when their new song, On Becoming Willing, starts.
Okay.
So give us a couple of minutes. We'll catch up with Ronnie, and then you'll have a chance to hear the new song as well.
Okay, I want to
Now you may continue.
I want to jump right in.
Sure.
Okay, Ronnie, the last time I saw you, you said that Red Jumpsuit Apparatus was taking a little break. And from where I sat, it seemed like you guys didn't take a break at all.
We just don't think you can. You're always staying busy.
So did you take a break?
That was the plan. And then, as you know, the plan changes. And we've just gotten used to it. We just try to roll the punches, thy will be done. And we did not take a break, actually. We just kept touring, kept writing. And then in the midst of all of that, became parents, my wife and I, who's also my co-producer. And then on top of that, we went ahead and made this record. So, and we did that at home, basically next to our nursery. So it was pretty wild. And now we're finished with that, and now we're back on tour again. So
there you go.
We only sleep 3 hours a night anyway, so it's all good.
Which is true. Like Ronnie will say that, but it's true. Like you are someone who do not sleep a lot. You just don't function with as much sleep as someone else. So you are always constantly working on stuff.
Yeah, that was the plan. But, the good thing is if you work hard, then good things happen. So we're enjoying, we've had quite a bit of success with the album release, and the single's doing well. And that's always just a nervous time when you're a family run. It's all just us, So if things don't do well, it's a little frustrating, but we've been really happy with the response. So it's nice to put all that work in and have people enjoy it.
Yeah.
So how do you, if you and your wife are co-producers on the album, how do you manage to make music if you're literally next door to a nursery where a baby is supposed to be sleeping?
Oh, man, it was way harder than I thought it was going to be. And my wife warned me about that, and I kept saying, hey, it won't be that bad. But luckily we were able to, we had a lot of help from her mom, which is Wolfie's grandma, and our nanny, Alma, as well. And my brother also engineered some guitar in Florida, so we were bouncing tracks, and sending stuff to him via online. He's sending it back to us. But there's many times where, the baby would cry, and we would just halt production because she's the mom. So for me, I'm kind of like, he's fine. He's with somebody else. He'll be all right. But, whenever she hears that cry, that mom instinct kicks in. So
she
there
goes
was
running.
A few times we had to, we just stopped right where we're at. And then a few times where, sometimes if the baby's crying really, really loud, it'll pick up in those sensitive microphones, especially the one that we use.
Well, Ronnie, I was going to say, if you listen really closely to any Red Jumpsuit Apparatus music from now on, it'd be really great if you're like, is that a baby crying?
I swear I hear a baby crying.
It's like, it's just part of the mix. It's fine.
Well, if you hear that, take comfort in knowing that it's my baby.
Yes, that's right.
It's not just some random baby.
It's an extra bonus.
Okay, we're talking to Ronnie from Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. Now, the other thing I need to know is this. Now you're a dad, and you've got that thing where you only sleep for 3 hours a night, and that's your superpower. Have you passed your superpower on to your baby?
Oh, man. You know what? I'm starting to think it's a curse now. I have. He does not sleep normal.
Aww.
It's so funny that you asked that. We have so many friends now that are parents, young parents. My wife is really cool about reaching out into the local community and connecting with some others because this is the first time for both of us. So we're definitely newbies with all of that. And, we're 18 months in now, so we're pretty seasoned veterans already. But in the beginning, it was definitely way different. Just everything you can imagine about life. Different, more fulfilling times 10, but also way more challenging and a lot more fear. I don't have a lot of fear. I just trust God all the time. And it gets annoying to other people because they think it's like this get out of jail free card. But I'm like, no, man, really, at the end of the day, you got to have faith. You can't just say you have it. You got to live it. So that's one of our mantras. But when you have a child and it's sick, he was in and out of the hospital a couple times just for normal stuff that happens to babies. Every time that happens, this wave of intense fear and anxiety that I'm somebody like me is not accustomed to really lays on you. And that was new for me. And because, it's a helpless child. It's different when you're going through something, because you can just use your mind to get through it. But when it's somebody else,
it's a lot harder. Aww.
Powerlessness, So again, you just trust in what works, but it's scary and tough and challenging and rewarding and all that wrapped into one. Everything people say, people used to say, "Oh, it's going to change your life," and I was like, "Yeah, whatever, man." I really didn't think it was,
but it's true.
But he sleeps 3 hours a night, so.
So he also has the superpower. He's a 3-hour sleeper, and then so you've got somebody with you all the time now.
Exactly. I'm excited for when we can actually, talk. Because we're going to be awake all the time together.
Oh, yeah, you might as well.
Oh my gosh,
talk to
dude.
each other.
That's amazing. Well, dude, you're like Superman and Superboy. Like you've passed on your powers, so now you guys are ready to conquer the world.
Yep. I'm just going to surround him with musical instruments, whether he likes it or not. And eventually, he'll pick one.
That's perfect, dude. So Ronnie from Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, we've got that brand new song. Any other kind of touring news or details you want to throw at us while we got you on the phone?
No, just we're touring the Awakening album all year long. As you mentioned, I'll Be Coming Willing is our current single. It's doing fantastic for us, and we're just spreading all around the country. As we discussed earlier, I'm a dad now, so instead of doing the month-long runs, I do 4 or 5 shows in a row, then I fly home and see the wife and kid for 3 days. So what we do is different legs. So there will be a Northeast leg where we'll be up near you guys later in the year. So if you do see tour dates posted, and don't, be discouraged right away if yours isn't on there, because I'm old and this is just how we do it now.
It might be added in later on. Yeah, you might see it then later.
Correct.
Well, definitely stay up to date. Yeah, so find out for Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, obviously. Be following on Facebook, and then that way you can get notified when the tour dates and stuff do get announced.
So, Ronnie, thank you so much.
It's definitely the best way to do it.
Cool.
Well, thank you in the middle of your really busy schedule for taking the time to talk to us this morning, dude.
Yes, no problem. One last thing, though. We're not going to let it slide. What did you think about The Last Jedi? Because I don't know, man.
Ronnie, I'll tell you this right now.
That's a whole nother topic.
Do you have a couple of hours to talk about what I believe is the gross mishandling of the character of Luke Skywalker?
But you're going to have to leave it on that cliffhanger, right?
Wow. Well, you know what? I take solace in the fact that knowing that I am now not the only one, and feel free to email me and I will respond and we can carry that conversation forward.
There might have to be a podcast later on of a different length.
It could be hours, dude. It could be hours.
Well, Ronnie, hang tight 1 second. It really was just so great to catch up with you. And then On Becoming Willing is now on RadioU.
Yes.
So your chance to enjoy it now. And, of course, request it anytime you'd like to hear it.
The worst of the riot is over, but the fun can keep going.
Hey, I saw you checking out my goods.
Check the Riot blog or stalk us on social media.
You want to sample them? A little try before you buy, huh?
Through riot.radiou.com.
And my secret, smoking, drinking, and is it Nico or Necco?
Necco wafers.